So we can mute you.
Hurry up and shut up.
No, not quite.
It should be
It's
Can
starting.
you
hurry
send
up
me
and
the
wait.
stream video so I
It's
can
in
watch
the
it?
RPG. It's the link in the RPG channel.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I don't see
Sweet.
anything. Oh, there we go.
All right. Okay, cool. I think it's up
It's
and
an ugly
running.
anti-tone guy.
Muted XB first thing.
Yep. First thing you ever want to do in any campaign, just mute me. Your experience will improve drastically immediately if that happens. Okay. Perfect. All right. So we should be ready to get started. Sorry, I'm just checking a lot of channels here to make sure everything is good. I see the chat channel on my little broadcaster. All right, so we are ready, guys. And I'm not, because I forgot to open up the Roll20 thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the intro. If you guys have already read it, great. But I'm going to read it anyway for those on the stream in case they missed it. Obviously, they missed it because they didn't get the notification. So here we go, guys. So AF 7700, which is 7,700 years after the fall of paradise that was our world, and about 1,000 years before Campaign 2, which is what we played last year. The kingdoms of the Jindagi lowlands guard their precious swamplands with jealous dedication. Meanwhile, wars in the lands of the warlords are a way of life, as each tribe vies for dominance over the mouth of the Green River or the Black Crystal mines near Trest and Dialita. These are cities in the Warlord Alliance you may or may not visit. In the northwest, however, great evil is rising. Once thought defeated at the start of the First Empire in 4530, an ancient enemy is rising again. More and more reports are coming in from horrified survivors, traders mostly, of a race of people that are more animal than human. They feast on the flesh of humans and move with a speed and fury that likens them to the swiftest of desert creatures. At first, these reports were dismissed as the ravings of madmen, their minds baked from the months under the punishing sun. Now, though, those reports are becoming more frequent. Oh, there's a typo. Yeah, I'm a writer. Those reports are becoming more frequent and far more credible. Good afternoon. The pale balding man greets your team. He bows his 7-foot-tall body and nods. You wonder to yourself how such a ganglion, sickly-looking person can function at all. My name is Professor Zellhines. I am the junior adjutant for General alias the Protector's Western Defense Army. You no doubt are wondering why I have called you all, strangers until today, to this place. He motions around the abandoned monastery. The place looks ancient, abandoned for 1,000 years, if the more learned of you were to guess. That would be Dex here, by the way. Crumbling stone walls, a foundation, and a barely standing north building wall are all that remains of this place. However, it is nearing evening, and the twilight winds are fast approaching. Perhaps it would be best if we discussed business down below. He motions to a slab of stone, not nearly as dusted with the layer of sand as the rest. The professor stomps 1 foot twice, and suddenly the stone retreats into a nook beneath the sand. Warm yellow light spills out of the opening into the darkening sky, beckoning you all below. Okay, so this is where we're at now. That's that funky looking little door there. I couldn't find a map item that looked like a stone door laying down, so that's the closest thing we got. So, you guys cool with following Mr. Hines downstairs?
I mean, yeah, that's what
Yep.
we're paid for.
Claudius will allow this.
Okay, so we're going to head down into his underground location. Going to be switching scenes here. You guys all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the scene that I've got here is a tavern. It's not really a tavern, but I didn't have a cool underground location that I could find for the image, so use your imaginations. It is an underground area. There are a couple tables. There's a fire going, and it just isn't as elaborately decorated. It's more of a cavernous feel. This place was carved out of the ground. Down inside is just you and Dr. Zell, who is taking his seat at one of the tables. He motions for your team to join him. which I'm assuming you do.
Yes, Claudius graces him with his presence.
All right, Claudius fully embraces sitting at a table. Okay, so you guys are sitting at the table with Dr. Zell, and he's actually a professor, but who's counting? And he begins. Good evening, gentlemen. I have in front of you two orders, and you can choose one of them, but you must choose them as a team. You cannot do both. He says, we have, as you know, there have been more and more reports in the north of cannibal attacks, and I'm sorry to say they are not rumors, they are quite real. We are about 30 minutes outside of the protectorate city of Watchtower. Watchtower is our westernmost defense against cannibal incursions and other creatures of the desert. And I must admit to you that more and more have been attacking the city. Now, naturally, the Protectorate has no issue defending against these hordes, and you could tell he's a little proud of himself, but that's pretty typical of most Protectorate. They revel in their greatness because they're so much more technologically advanced than anyone else in the world of Ruin. He says, so naturally, this is nothing difficult for us, but we fear for the rest of Ruin if these cannibal attacks are to increase. He says, so I've called you here, and I have in front of you two missions. Mission 1 is you travel to Cannibal Cave City, which is where we believe they are based. You try to discover where these cannibals are coming from in such numbers. We all know cannibals have existed since the dawn of our calendar, but until recently, they haven't been an issue. We would like you to find out what is causing this uptick in cannibals. He says, now that is your first and possible first mission. Your second possible mission is instead of discovering where what is causing this uptick in cannibal attacks, I would like you to do a more, let's call it a more intellectual pursuit. We never have figured out where these cannibals originally came from. I'm speaking, of course, of their genesis, the beginning of their race. They're not quite human, but they look like humans. We think we may have a lead that would lead us to discovering exactly how this race of subhumans began. But you can only choose one mission. Discover the origin of the cannibals, or discover what is causing the most recent attacks. I will allow you to discuss, and when you're ready, return to me. All right, so he's given you two missions. One is to discover the origin of the cannibals. So this would be a more historical pursuit, finding out their history. You'd be doing a lot of like cave exploring, things like that. The other is to discover what's causing the increase in overall attacks. This would be more of a going village to village and talking to people. So one is more of a lonely quest, so to speak, meaning you guys are kind of by yourselves. You're not dealing with as many people. The other is more of a civilization-centered quest where you're asking questions and asking around.
So basically, infiltration versus investigation.
Correct.
Let's do the one where we're going with people.
Okay, so that would be the infiltration route.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Alton's opinion. He wants to go infiltration. Claudius, what do you think?
I want to hear my other teammates' opinions first. Claudius likes the balances of everything and weighs every option.
Okay, so Dex, what are your thoughts?
Well, investigation definitely plays to my strengths.
Okay, so we've got one investigation, one infiltration. Angus McGregor, would you like to weigh in?
And
I'm fine with either option.
Then I must be the tiebreaker.
All right, what is your choice, Claudius?
My choice? I would like to know the origins of the cannibals.
Okay, so 2 for investigation, 1 for infiltration, and 1 for whatever. So it looks like you guys are going to be going on a mission to find out the origins of the cannibals. And mind you, you guys are still going to have combat and all kinds of fun stuff. This is just a different route. You have two choices, and you have chosen the investigation route, which is uncovering secrets and maybe running into people who don't want you to uncover those secrets. So, one final check. Angus, you're still good with both, right?
Yeah.
Okay, looks like it's going to be investigation. Who would like to be the speaker of the group to talk to the professor?
Historian, do you want me or you?
Why don't you take the lead, and if I think of anything, I can just toss it in.
Very well then.
Anything you would like to ask the professor or the archaeologist before we begin? Like perhaps how much the pay is? Are you guys doing this for free?
How much will you pay us individually?
He says, assuming that you've chosen the investigation route, I will pay you each 4,000 coins apiece. At the conclusion of the investigation, of course. If you do not produce results, then you will not be paid.
Could Claudius be like, use his wits, be like, alright, we will give you your results, but could you pay us in advance?
You can attempt that, of course, with a roll. So, Claudius, you want to try and get him to give you an advance on the pay?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I doubt he's going to give you all of your pay in advance. That would be foolish, but you might be able to wean a little bit out of him before the mission begins. So, Claudius wants you to go ahead and roll your wit. And that is a failure.
May I use my ability?
What is your ability?
Let me go into my background. It's one of my feats. Basically, decisive mind. I can reroll any wit check one time.
Yes, and your target to hit is 12, by the way. Forgot to mention that. So go ahead and roll it again. You can use that ability.
All right. And there's a reason why I'm doing this.
Oh, that's a definite hit. Very good roll.
Good.
16. That's weird. The rolls aren't going in. That's weird. They're kind of like spreading out, but that's fine. Okay, so you've rolled a 16. That is a success. You were able to convince him. He says, well, I understand that sending a group like you out into such an unknown environment with absolutely no incentive might be a little bit too positive of thinking. So I will give you each a small stipend to allow you to equip yourselves and otherwise survive to the conclusion of this mission. So he gives each of you 200 coins. So everyone give yourself 200 coin. It's on your second page, the background page. So just click on background and drop that 200 in addition to whatever you already had there.
You're gonna have to do that for me.